When I was in graduate school here in Boston, I remember paying a visit to John Rawls at his office in Emerson Hall at Harvard. I remember how he stuttered. It was a disarming affliction in somebody as famous as he was. In fact, Rawls's wife said of him that he had an amazing smile and a significant stammer. He danced enthusiastically but badly. And she added, what young girl could resist that combination? Rawls had once thought of being an Episcopalian priest, but he later rejected the main doctrines of Christianity. The year I met him, Rawls published a book called A Theory of Justice, which in time was translated into 27 languages. When the protesters appeared in Tiananmen Square in 1989, they were waving copies of The Theory of Justice for the television cameras. In this book, Rawls makes a famous conjecture that the right is prior to the good, he says. The right that he's referring to is the right to freedom, the freedom to choose the good for oneself. Everybody, Rawls thought, should have a right to make as many choices as possible, consistent with the right of everybody else to make their own choices. And if we're free, then we can pursue the good as we see it and make our choices accordingly. And of course, what I think is good for me may be different from what you think is good for you. Most universities, not the Catholic University of America, promote this modern liberal notion that there are no objectively good or bad choices. I'm the judge of my own good, you're the judge of yours. Right and wrong depend on intentions. If you mean to do good, that's what matters most, and the only real sin is hypocrisy. Fritz Perls, who coined the term Gestalt therapy, composed something called the Gestalt prayer that nicely illustrates this kind of thinking. I remember when I was a young law professor at Kentucky, going to the wedding of two of my students, and this, I remember it verbatim because it was the Gestalt prayer, was their vow to one another at their wedding. Here's how it goes. I do my thing, and you do your thing. I am not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you are not in this world to live up to mine. You are you, and I am I, and if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. I remember saying to my wife at the wedding, I'll give him 6 months. I was off by about 30 days. But our popular culture has embraced this idea, which is put forward by philosophers and psychologists. Let me give you a couple of examples. The first is a 2016 film called Me Before You. It won a People's Choice Award as a favorite dramatic movie. Sam Claflin played a successful young banker named Will Traynor. He was an active man, had a motorcycle accident that left him paralyzed from the neck down. And his nurse, Louisa Clark, played by Amelia Clark, came from a working class family and struggled to make ends meet. But she had a sunnier outlook on life than Will did. And she tried to convince Will that life was still worth living, so she planned trips for them to take and activities for them to do together. They travel, they listen to Mozart, and predictably they fall in love. The romance cure, though, didn't work for Will. So he decided to check in with Dignitas in Switzerland and take his own life. Louisa follows him to be with him in his final moments, and he leaves her a letter, which she reads after his death, and in it he explains that he's left her all his money, and he urges her to just live without him, suggesting that she begin with a trip to her favorite perfume shop in Paris. This is how movies do it these days. The movie portrays assisted suicide as a heroic act. Its message seems to be that Will did the right thing because he was unhappy, and Louisa ended up better off than she was when she took her job. But it doesn't sit well with us. There was a brief backlash on Twitter. The Twitter handle was #MeBeforeEuthanasia. One tweet called it a disability snuff movie. And while many people who saw the movie struggled to put their finger on the problem, the Catholic moral tradition offers a pretty clear answer. Suicide is a refusal of the life that God has given us.